Welcome back, Real Dealies. We hope everyone hopped into a successful April Fool's Day Sunday.
I didn't. All the Easter Bunny left me were eggs full of fake money. Now I'm $5 short on my rent.
Why not just ask someone to loan you $5?
I did. Kyle said no. He said he's too busy getting his soap churning business off the ground. So.
I could loan you $5.
Really? Okay, well, okay. Actually, it's 55 now since I'm late,
okay.
so if you wouldn't mind.
Actually, now that I think about it, let's just move on to the show. So, from Ball State University, The Real Deal starts now.
Wait, no.
Welcome back to another ethereal episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm Eli Brunsman.
And I'm Angela Oriema. This week, we have Lanisha Huggins with a review, Tyler Landis with a death-defying experience, and a whole lot more.
Wait, who's defying death?
We'll get there, don't worry. But first, say, Eli, if you could have a show about you, would you?
Maybe, but I don't really think many people would watch it.
Fair enough.
What about you?
Whew, oh, definitely. Oh, I would. I would call it A Man and His Cat, a story of loneliness, cheddar whales, and crippling depression.
That sounds...
Like a 5-star award-winning show. I know! Well, it almost sounds exactly as amazing as the show Lanisha's about to review.
Maybe we should have her take it away then.
Couldn't agree more. Lanisha?
Every now and then, I look for new shows to binge watch. In between times when I am waiting for new seasons of my favorite shows. This time around, this new show is called Insecure. It is an HBO series that is in its second season. It was created by Issa Rae and Larry Wilmore in 2016. I am just getting into the show, but the things that I have seen is evident that the show is a success. The show is based on the life of Issa Rae and has an aesthetic way of examining her life experiences. Rae takes a positive and insightful approach to using storytelling as a way of connecting with all types of audiences. The focus of the two female characters, Issa Rae and her best friend Molly, shows their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to confidence. The dialogue is a witty internal monologue that is enough to hook me to get to watch more shows. It is a hilarious gem that manages to offer a different entry point into conversations about sexuality, race, and culture. Topics that mainstream TV is afraid to touch. The musical selection is well done. Insecure has a wonderful music selection that connects to the personality of the main characters. It is a great array of indie artists such as Playboi Carti, SZA, and others. The song enhances the emotion of each scene and make a party feel authentic, which is driven by Issa Rae. I am excited to see the outcome of the show because I love Issa Rae. Also because the show is based on two young black women living their everyday lives amongst complicated, often uncomfortable racial experiences. The comic humor is fun but connects to the flaws, relationships between each character and the difficulties of adulthood.
Thanks, Lanisha. What's wrong, bud?
I just found out that Tyler got 2 spring breaks, all right? He didn't even invite me. I mean, we got to assign someone else to treasurer.
I think so.
I mean, he's just abandoned us in our darkest hour, Eli.
We were having a dark hour?
Yeah, the world almost ended. Do you not remember this?
That was 2 episodes ago, and Tyler was on that episode.
Excuses. Eli. That doesn't fix the Fresh Prince-sized hole in my heart.
I don't know what that means.
Will Smith.
What about him?
Eli, you'll see after Tyler rubs his second spring break in our faces with his segment. He was in Miami. We got snow, Eli.
Tyler?
Snow. We got snow.
About a week ago, I embarked on a journey with 2 of my friends down to Miami, Florida to attend Ultra Music Festival. While the drive down there was long, it was definitely worth the 18-hour trip to feel the warm sun beat down on us while everyone up here in Indiana suffered with a mountain of snow, which luckily cleared up by the time I returned. Spending less than a full 4 days in Miami, I understood what Will Smith was talking about in his song, Miami. The city was beautiful, the people were great, and the food was divine. Now, while I could go on and on about the city of Miami itself, it just doesn't really fit the theme of this show. So I'm here to talk about the music that I enjoyed while jumping up and down, dancing, and blowing out my eardrums until I lost all control of my body and nearly died, but more on that later. So before we get started, let me first fill you in on what Ultra Music Festival is. It is, well, as the name implies, a music festival that spanned 3 days. The music at the festival was for the most part EDM, or electrical dance music. This year was the 20th anniversary of the festival, and they made it something to be remembered. Entering the festival, along with 20,000 plus other people, we were greeted to not one, not two, not even three, but 8 stages where artists performed and showcased their talents and got us to lose our minds with pure adrenaline-pumping joy. While I won't go too in-depth on all the stages, I will talk about one stage, and that stage being the Arcadia Spider. And, as the name implies, it is a giant mechanical spider that shoots flames and blares music. Honestly, any way I try to describe this thing will not do it enough justice, so please look this up for yourself, folks. Now, into the music itself. The lineup was, and I mean this with all my heart, nothing short of a masterpiece. With the talents of Steve Aoki, Carl Cox, DJ Snake, G-Eazy, Armin van Buuren, Alan Walker, Afrojack, Marshmello, Tiesto, The Chainsmokers, David Guetta, and so many more. It was hard to believe how they got all these people in one place. But then you remember how much the tickets are and realize how they got all these people in one place. Now, yes, the tickets for the festival were a bit high-priced, but I can assure you it was well worth selling my kidney for. And I mean, I haven't even mentioned the guest appearances yet. Now, earlier I made a joke about that song by Will Smith, you know, Miami. Well, that joke was more like foreshadowing because, well, Will Smith just so happened to come out live on stage and perform Miami to all of us, making us unanimously faint with excitement. In fact, it was too much for me, and the following day it turns out I was suffering from exhaustion. That's not a joke. I nearly died, and I thank Will Smith for it. Then, if that wasn't enough, a musical group known as Swedish House Mafia, you may have heard of them, came out from their final performance at Ultra and got the band back together for one more final performance to make us, yet again, faint with excitement. In short, Ultra Music Festival was some of the most fun I have ever had. People told me it would change my life, and they weren't wrong. If you have the funds available, I highly recommend going to Ultra. Even if you're not a fan of EDM, you will have a wonderfully fantastic time at Ultra Music Festival, guaranteed. Well, that's going to do it for me. I've been Tyler Landis, and I always will be. Back to you, Eli.
Thank you, Tyler, for that ultra neat segment.
Yeah, it was great. Real great.
Be nice, he nearly died.
If only.
And on that note, we'll be back after this short break.
Welcome back, you real dealers.
It's dealies, not dealers. You can't mess with perfection.
Yeah, we all need a little change sometimes.
Change? You freaked out when Rob White did a segment other than music.
Because that's not change, Eli, that is anarchy. Do you see Rob Segovia defying the system? No, he sticks to the plan.
There's a plan?
Yeah, did you not receive the email from the higher-ups this morning?
We have higher-ups? You mean Brandon?
No, and J-Lo. And J-Lo is who I mean. Where do you think he's been all this semester? He was promoted.
I just assumed he was replaced by Dr. Ronald.
Replaced? You can't replace perfection.
All right, I'm sorry.
You better be. I expect a letter of apology during Rob's segment. Rob?
Mixtapes are my favorite phase of hip-hop and R&B artists. There is an ambition present in the free download that is incredibly unique and distinct, as opposed to the polished and financed works from the mainstream artists. The creative freedom, sampling, and attempted originality are the driving forces behind those projects, and help build fan bases for artists like The Weeknd, who thrived in 2011 when he released the trilogy of mixtapes House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence. House of Balloons was my favorite of the bunch and packed a punch to the listener. The dark tones and mysterious atmospheric production allowed for me to get lost in time and space. There is a lifestyle here built on damaged love and substance abuse, influencing thoughts and motive. The moody lyrics and expression of loneliness in a crowded, inescapable world provided a lush but surreal experience. Songs like What You Need, Wicked Games, and The Morning. This continued on Thursday and Echoes of Silence. It was a time when The Weeknd was more concerned with communicating his feelings through the microphone and created a world inside his mind rather than worrying about his appearance and pop appeal. Many reviewers made the mistake of citing the trilogy as a release from a group. It would be safe to assume so because in an age where the internet provides us with endless information, Abel was able to get away with being anonymous and had the freedom to express himself, whoever the Weeknd was. Then came Monday. What I didn't know about the Toronto native and EXO artist suddenly became what everyone was talking about. He gained popularity from the masses. With appearances on Ariana Grande's album My Everything on Love Me Harder and singing Earned It for the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack, it was evident that the Weeknd made it to the mainstream. But that is what was so surprising. His early career bout with fame and comfort with staying hidden was traded for the spotlight. This can be seen on Beauty Behind the Madness and Starboy, both releases which were musically great but lost a step in my eyes. He became a pop icon, and that's not a bad thing at all. He was making hits, exceeding with massive radio airplay on Can't Feel My Face, The Hills, Often, and Starboy. He was recognized with accolades and had the opportunity to work alongside some of the best in the music business, including Ed Sheeran, Lana Del Rey, Daft Punk, Kendrick Lamar, and Future. His astronomical rise was also his fall. It was a misstep. His core fan base shrugged at his recent releases, and it was only a matter of time before he went back to the beginning. How would he do it, and would his new fans follow? My Dear Melancholy is the extended play released on Friday by The Weeknd. It consists of 6 tracks and a throwback to his old sound and feel. Now, this is not to say it's a full return by any means, but it is a smart release. He is appealing to his early supporters and getting back to his roots, but also incorporates elements from his mainstream with guest contributors in Daft Punk, Skrillex, and Gesaffelstein. Try Me and I Was Never There are standout performances from the EP. Although it isn't packaged like House of Balloon days when The Weeknd was a game-changing newcomer, he can't escape himself, even when he gets to travel the world as a festival headliner. He nonetheless articulates his feelings through pain and sorrow, crooning into the night. I miss this. Who do I have to thank? Selena? Bella? Regardless, I loved every minute of this nostalgic trip, and I pray for more of this from The Weeknd. For The Real Deal, I'm Rob Segovia.
Thanks, Rob. It's always a treat.
Can't mess with perfection.
Hey, Angelo, smile.
But, Eli, what are you doing? We're in the middle of a show.
Commemorating the moment forever. You never know when it could be our last.
Our last? We do this every week. We have 4 shows left.
But what if we didn't? What would I post to the social media accounts?
I don't know, food, pets, unpopular opinions like half of the population out there?
But that's no fun. Besides, I'm proud of what we do, and The Real Deal deserves all the positive press we can get.
Well, I could agree with that. Well, hey, maybe Noah can help.
Noah?
Yeah, in his segment, he ranks the best social media platforms.
Maybe. Take it away, Noah.
Many of us here at The Real Deal are constantly checking our social media and various news outlets for information on our favorite new shows, movies, and music. Like many of you, I rely pretty heavily on social media for my entertainment updates from the stars themselves. We've all got celebrities that we stan. We've got the Tom Hanks followers, the Robert Downey Jr. fan base. It's all a part of this wildly interactive space that is the internet. Now today, I'm going to do a top 5 list of social media sites ranked on how effective they are at breaking entertainment news. We're talking the big apps, the ones that make the social media world go round. So without further ado, here's the list. At number 5, a page that started off with humble beginnings, but slowly improved, became a viable entertainment source. It's MySpace. This site originated as a sort of AOL messenger for multiple people and grew into the first form of social media that really stuck. MySpace had options for people to share their favorite music. You could link movies on your page. It created an entire safe space for entertainment culture. The number 4 spot belongs to Instagram. It gives celebrities a platform for their fans to see, and some of our favorite entertainers give us awesome content on a daily basis. Instagram is a snapshot of our idols' personal lives, and that gives it enough merit to sit here in the 4th spot. In 3rd, we have Snapchat. It's a relatively new thing, but Snapchat's feature stories have given media outlets a platform inside a platform. You can subscribe to channels like IGN or Refinery 21, and so many more great entertainment venues right there on the app. Part of my morning routine includes watching the Daily Bit from SportsCenter. It's a new effort, and it's looking pretty promising. Some of our favorite actors and musicians are kind enough to share their Snapchat names. That allows us to get even closer to their personal lives. And the runner-up here is Twitter. It's a melting pot of meme culture, celebrity information, entertainment news, and personal opinions that leads to overwhelmingly powerful discussion. People became Twitter famous just for their opinions on movies, music, and all sorts of other entertainment-related items. It's important to understand, though, that Twitter's 280 character limit forces users to be concise and state their points in a way that saves time and space. Number 1 on this list goes to Reddit. It's an online discussion forum, a social media hub, and a curator's nightmare all rolled into one. The sheer amount of content on Reddit is wild enough, but it's the amount of leaked information, the conspiracy theories, and the pure lighthearted fun that make Reddit worthy of the top spot. It's an entertainment junkie's dream. You can find anything on Reddit. Have a favorite band that not many people know about? Check Reddit. There are people there that love that band just as much as you do. Think Zac Efron isn't actually 5'7"? Check Reddit. I'm sure they've done the math. That's all for now. For The Real Deal, I'm Noah Bullard.
Thanks, Noah. You know, I find some of the best content on Reddit.
It really is a goldmine of the unusual.
Oh, actually, you know what? I wonder if they have anything about The Real Deal on there.
Why don't we find out during the break?
All right, we'll be right back. I tell you what, kids, I am disappointed. You know, we only found pilgrim facts and fan art of Kyle in full pilgrim garb on Reddit.
We do reference him in his pilgrimness an awful lot, so I'm not too surprised.
Well, guess it can't be helped. He's the only one left in existence.
Maybe not. Maybe there will be some sort of pilgrim revolution.
A what?
You know, all the pilgrims will come out of hiding and revolutionize.
I don't see that happening. You know, maybe it's time that we let Tiara talk about the movie that she's reviewing and get off the subject.
Yeah, maybe.
Take it away, Tiara.
So last week, I watched a movie called Viva. I watched it for a paper I was writing for my English class, but I ended up being really captivated by this movie. So after I talk a little bit about it now, I hope you'll be just as interested in it as I am. Now, if you saw my review for The Love Witch some weeks ago, you know that I love its director, Anna Biller. She's very cool and very smart and has impressed me with both of her feature films so far. Viva was released in 2007 and is Anna's first feature film. It's about a woman named Barbie, played by Biller herself. And she's a bored housewife and along with her friend Sheila, dive headfirst into the world of the sexual revolution of the 1970s. This movie is funny and campy, and just like The Love Witch, it will remind you of some of the movies from that era they're inspired by. Viva contains similar stilted acting and gorgeous scenery and costumes, once again designed by Anna Biller herself. She even said that some of the visuals for this movie were inspired by Playboy comics. This movie is sort of weird at spots. It's definitely a comedy or a satire, but there are moments in this movie where everyone is laughing or not taking the situation seriously, while our main character, Barbie, or Viva as she's known later in the movie, seems very uncomfortable, which in turn made me uncomfortable and even more uncomfortable during certain scenes in the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but this isn't a happy movie by any means. Despite the bright colors and the over-the-top situations, this movie is about a woman who is experiencing something new in her life, but she's also vulnerable in this time period. What's so fascinating about this movie is that it exposed me personally to what the sexual revolution was like. Personally, I didn't know much about this era, and in fact, I thought about it as these years of free love and finding yourself and stuff like this. But I asked Anna Biller on Twitter what inspired her to make this movie, and she responded. She said what Viva was inspired by the fake world of Playboy magazine and how it became the dominant cultural model and how that model ruined culture in general and women's lives specifically, starting around 1970 and continuing to the present. Now this quote and this movie sort of made me realize the horrors of this era. Anna Biller described this era as something that took advantage of women's sudden openness and lack of cultural protections. And it's not something I ever would have thought about, especially about the sexual revolution. But it's incredibly interesting, especially once you do more research into it. Anna Biller is also really good as the lead, Viva. She has this eternal pout on her face, and as an audience member, you sort of feel like you're going through these new experiences with her. And during the film's climax, she's in this gorgeous gold costume and this giant gold headpiece, and there are like naked men playing drums and people dancing all around. And there's like this musical number, and it's intense and it's shocking. And I remember thinking about this scene long after I finished the movie. Oh, and I forgot to mention that there are a few musical numbers in this movie. This movie ends on a musical number. Anyway, whatever Anna Biller does next, I will be sure to watch because I loved Viva and I loved The Love Witch. So if social satires about the sexual revolution sound like something that would be interesting to you, then Viva's for you. So I hope you check out Viva. I'm Tiara Spells. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Tiara. Sounds like it's worth the watch.
Yeah, but don't put your wallet away just yet, Eli, because Brandon's got a kooky review coming up, and according to Dr. Ronald, it's a little bit nutty.
You were waiting to make a nut pun, weren't you?
Maybe.
Dr. Ronald isn't even here this week, though.
Which is why I brought it up, you see, so he could be here in spirit.
Sure. Why don't we just let Brandon, get on with his review?
That's fair. Take it away, Brandon.
What I appreciate most about Unsane is how nutty it is. This is a movie in the tradition of something like Zulawski's Possession or Harvey's Carnival of Souls. These are wonderfully campy movies that don't care how ludicrous and off the wall their plots and ideas are. They just do their own thing. I'm so happy that Unsane got a wide release, even if it already seems on the way out the door in its second week in theaters. It's a weird, claustrophobic, freaky, imperfect ride that manages to thrill anyone that may stumble upon it. Okay, spoilers. The setup for this movie is bonkers. I've seen some critics complain about how ludicrous and unrealistic the plotting is, but I, for one, really enjoyed it. The heightened reality that this movie ran with was really engaging to me, to the point where I didn't even care that something like this could never really happen in real life. The movie follows Claire Foy's character being wrongly institutionalized by a corrupt mental hospital that wrongfully takes in patients for their insurance money. Oh, and also her stalker that she moved several hundred miles to escape is hunting her down and got a job at that very same corrupt mental hospital where she ends up, and he's willing to kill to get to her. Does this make any sense? No. Would this ever work in real life? Absolutely not. But it's fun as all hell. The movie never pretends it's anything that it isn't. There's this real sense of tenacity and willingness to play to the nosebleed seats that I think has been somewhat lost in the mainstream. I'd far rather see movies that take chances like this than some plain Jane Marvel film. The way that this movie consistently raises the stakes up until its absolutely bonkers finale is consistently entertaining. There's not a whole lot that's actually happens in the movie's runtime, so for me to feel that on the edge of my seat throughout, it's a testament to the script and the editing. Claire Foy sheds any of the Queen's skin in this movie to play an absolutely compelling and dynamic lead. She's angry, she's tough, she's smart, and genuinely terrified. This isn't the Barbara Crampton school of over-the-top screaming and hollering. Foy conveys a real sense of fear and misery throughout the film. It was really great to see a woman might be going insane movie that wasn't, super sexist, and I think a lot of it has to do with the nuance that Foy brought in her performance. Joshua Leonard from the Blair Witch Project gives a super uncomfortable and scary performance as Foy's stalker. There's a tangible sense of desire and evil within this character, which makes him one of the more uncomfortably realistic horror villains of recent memory. Now, who I was most surprised by, though, was Jay Farrow as Claire Foy's friend in the mental hospital. He was charming, funny, and provided a real sense of humanity for the film. It's also worth mentioning that this film was shot completely on an iPhone 5. Though some may disagree, I thought that the cinematography was excellent, and it provided a real sense of grunginess, voyeurism, and dirt for the audience. However, of course, this film isn't without flaw. Everything before Foy going to the mental hospital is somewhat clunky and stilted, suffering from poor acting from a lot of the minor characters. I know the movie had to focus the casting on everyone in the mental hospital, but I was still really distracted by these poor performances. Also, I thought the music was pretty cheeks. It was really thinly mixed, and the arrangements sounded like something that came from the score of The X-Files. A horrible, terrible woman in the theater tried telling me that this movie had a terrible score because it's an indie film, but to that I say, Call Me By Your Name, Good Time, You Were Never Really Here, It Follows, Under the Skin, and Upstream Color. Stupid lady. There were also some angles and editing limitations that I imagine sprung from the usage of an iPhone, and while I understand that this medium has its limits, that didn't make some sequences distractingly cut or shot. I still overall recommend Unsane fairly heavily. It's a twisted, fun ride that may genuinely scare you in that, oh my god, this could really happen way. Well, not really, because it's still crazy, but you get my point. I give this movie 3.5 pointless Matt Damons out of 5. I am Brandon Kratkowski. See you next time.
Thanks, buddy. Matt Damon would be proud.
You know what else he'd be proud of?
What?
This shameless plug.
Oh, yeah, shameless plug time. Okay, all right. This week we have two leading ladies. We have Josie Underhill with a mystery to solve and Madison McGill with a topic that's a bit unfortunate.
So stick around because we'll be right back for our final word.
A series of unfortunate events reappeared on Netflix for its second season, which is anything but unfortunate. However, today I want to talk about one controversial topic about the show, Count Olaf. And not only that, who is the better Count Olaf, Neil Patrick Harris or Jim Carrey?
One of the greatest detectives of all time, Sherlock Holmes, is back on the big screen. Now, many actors have brought different characteristics to this beloved detective, but none as drastic as Johnny Depp in this film, bringing to life this old mystery story through the sequel of Romeo and Juliet, Sherlock Gnomes.
To me, one of the best parts of going to the movies, besides eating snacks, is watching the trailers. And I like when the whole audience murmurs after a particularly interesting preview, and it's always fun determining which movies are worth seeing and getting excited for upcoming films. Then you can leave the theater, tell your friend about this cool trailer you saw, and go to see the movie together when it comes out. And I've never been that kind of person to avoid a trailer before watching a movie. But now, I'm considering becoming one of those people. Because one thing I've noticed, especially lately, is that a lot of these trailers are revealing way too much. For instance, while waiting for my movie to start Saturday night, I saw the trailer for Truth or Dare, an upcoming horror movie that looks pretty bad. And no, I don't feel like preemptively judging this movie is unfair because I kind of saw the whole thing already. The trailer for Truth or Dare shows who dies, who lives, and at least 4 crazy dares that occur during the movie. And I'm sure my opinion on this is not a rare one. Who wants a movie spoiled for them at all, let alone just by the advertisement? Even David Lynch, the creator of Twin Peaks, feels that trailers give the whole story away. He even went as far as describing trailers as harmful because they prevent the viewer from getting the whole experience. But apparently, directors don't even have much control over what goes into the trailer. But shouldn't they be the ones with the most input? And studios have even started counting down the days until a trailer is released, even though it's just a trailer. Like, why can't we just get excited for the actual movie? As social media becomes arguably the easiest way to inform people about new movies, trailers get even longer and more detailed. Hashtags are spread and hype is raised, and that's exactly what the studios want to happen. I wish we could just go back to short, fun trailers that leave the audience guessing. But unfortunately, I don't really think that's going to happen. So guys, who wants to join me in skipping the trailers? Hashtag no more trailers 2018.
Spread it. Spread hashtag no more trailers 2018. Thank you, Emily. That was very well said. Now,
thank
Netflix's rise in popularity has transformed the streaming site into more than just some place to go to watch old episodes of Friends until you clean out your pantry of all the goldfish crackers. That's not relatable or anything else. With its expansive user base, the company has branched off and become well known for their original content. Shows like Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, BoJack Horseman, Black Mirror, House of Cards, and a metric ton of Marvel properties have filled the platform with a wide variety of content for various audiences. However, despite the rampant success that these originals have seen, not all have ridden into the sunset with sacks of cash and a set of baller shades on. Netflix originals, okay, here we go. Hemlock Grove, Lilyhammer, The Killing, Marco Polo, Longmire, Bloodline, The Get Down, Sense8, Girl Boss, Gypsy, Haters Back Off, Lady Dynamite, and Disjointed. All of these shows have gotten canceled in recent months, leading to many questions from consumers. For example, is Netflix attempting to go for a more quality over quantity approach, limiting their output to instead ensure that each product is consistent and of high quality? Because, let's be honest here, the aforementioned shows were not straight up bangers. In fact, the crop of shows is more Matthew McConaughey until about 2009, and all the other Netflix originals are Matthew McConaughey from 2010 onward. That's the scale we're going to use to judge these. That's the official scale. But while Netflix canceling shows could be seen as a good thing, so long as you're not fans of these programs, obviously, this optimistic viewpoint that it could just be for improving quality to the site may not be a valid argument. Because no matter how many mediocre shows or films that they seem to dump, they won't seem to get rid of one of their biggest guilty pleasures, and that's Adam Sandler. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to jump all over Adam Sandler and talk about how he, Kevin James, David Spade, and Chris Rock are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I'm not going to do that. Okay, Adam Sandler has made 2 good movies, and I appreciate him endlessly for that. But how can Netflix preach how it prides itself on quality when it shells out his comedies once a year? This all comes in the wake of Jennifer Aniston waking up from her tomb in a lake of Marley and Me tears to rejoin Sandler for a Netflix crime comedy murder mystery. And the fact that that sentence is real blows my mind. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that these movies perform very well. And Netflix as a company can't just turn away a gold mine in exchange for artistic integrity. With that being said, though, if you're a fan of these niche Netflix experiences and are aggravated by Adam Sandler's films being put before those original content, then you need to make that clear with your voices and with your viewings. If we allow this to keep happening, if Netflix allows this to keep happening, the streaming site will continue to take one step forward and 2 steps backwards. So go, viewer, and vote with your voices. Netflix, prioritize quality content, and Jennifer Aniston and Drew Barrymore, stop repartnering with Adam Sandler to make a quick buck. If I was in your shoes, would I do the same thing? Probably, but that's not the point here. What I'm trying to say is that Netflix going forward has the potential to be so special. A place where people can go and make unique and interesting independent content, not dumbed down by the egregious ad-filled cash grabs spilled out nowadays by Sandler and company. So go and be the true detective, Dallas Buyers Club Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey Netflix, and don't you settle for less. Strive for greatness, outdo yourself, and keep the audience in mind. Because if you don't, things may not always be all right.
I give that impression 2 out of 3 all rights.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, there's more where that came from. Here we go.
Maybe another time.
Okay, well, fine. If you want more from The Real Deal, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Angelo Oriema.
And I'm Eli Brunsman. We'll see you next time.